Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. Today, I have the good fortune to be joined by Doug Adlam. Doug, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks. I'm super stoked to be on your podcast today.
We are stoked to have you. So let's go back in time a little bit because you've had an interesting journey. How did you get started?
Yeah, it could be a really long story. I'll try to make it as concise as possible. But I think my first experience really being involved in multiple things, the whole exponential experience, exponential life, kicked off when I graduated, finished grad school. I took on very quickly after grad school, landed a full-time gig in a market research company because that's what I thought I wanted to do with my career. Took on a lecturing professor role, teaching 2 to 3 classes a semester at the local university. And had been working on a business plan to launch a new business, a branch of my parents' mortgage company. So I'd worked on that and then launched that later that year. And of course, in the middle of it all, my passion at the time was refereeing hockey at the highest level. So I had actually been signed on, got a contract with the Ontario Hockey League, which is major junior hockey in Ontario. So it's a feeder league to the National Hockey League. And it was just a tremendous opportunity. And honestly, everything hit at once and I didn't want to say no to anything. So that's how it all started. It was wild. It was crazy. And then years later, got into just continue to grow everything.
Well, congratulations on all of that. Let's narrow it. That's awesome that you pulled that all off at once. Tell us about your business now.
Yeah, totally. So for the last bunch of years, my original business was in the mortgage space. So started the mortgage business and eventually stepped down from refereeing. I went as far as I could, didn't quite get to that National Hockey League level, which was the goal. So yeah, focused my efforts on the mortgage business. And in that time, we were able to grow the mortgage business by about 40x. In addition to that, diversified, this is the exponential entrepreneur in me. The mortgage industry was way behind on the technology front. Like we had one technology provider that had been in it for about 15 years, and it was time for it to be disrupted. So was one of 4 co-founders that launched a company called Finmo Financial Technologies, and then we disrupted the Canadian deal origination mortgage space. So that whole between customer to mortgage or to mortgage lender process. Through a mortgage broker, we finally brought something to the market that was modern, that was new age, and that company was acquired back in 2020, still around today, and is one of the few major players in that space today. So there's that component. Helped after exiting that, I got in and out of the wealth management business for about 3 years. Found that my passion wasn't there, but I loved the business side of it and getting it up and getting it going. So my partners took that business over from me, and that was an exit at the end of 2023. And then lastly, I kind of back to the original mortgage business, and we've done a lot of aggregation over the last number of years. I took on a sales strategy leadership role with the parent company and helped it grow from 80 or 800 million in originations to over 4 billion in the time I had that role. So that's a quick kind of summary of where things are at today. And now I'm kind of like enjoying a little bit of balance right now for the first time in a while. Like I really love being busy, but I'm not crazy busy right now. So being able to take on some speaking engagements, a little bit of consulting, helping out some colleagues with their businesses, and finding myself a little bit in the stage of wondering what might be next for me.
Awesome. 800 million, if I heard it right, to 4 billion is an enormous amount of growth. How did you pull that off in such a short period of time?
Good question. I think a big thing was just really believing in the offering, really believing what we could bring to a market, and really identifying a gap within the business. There's been a lot of evolution in the mortgage space. We've got these buying groups, which we called mortgage networks. We have brokerages that you've got from small mom and pop shop all the way up to massive companies, and aggregation in the business has really been a big hot topic over the last 5 years. With the costs going up, and technology innovation, and a lot of opportunities arise where we could really decrease aggregate costs, but also gives you that additional buying power to be able to help your clients out in a different level. So aggregation was certainly one, believing in that product offering. I think for me personally, you can see it on the wall behind me, like I completely loathe mediocrity. It completely drives me nuts. If there's anything that can be improved, I want to be able to improve it. So it's been just always looking to make things better, taking that bar, pushing it up even further. And really my approach is I just challenge everything. How can we make absolutely every component of the business better? And I'm not okay at any point in time to be, this is a good thing and a bad thing. I'm never okay with where things are, because as soon as we improve things, that becomes the new status quo. So sometimes it creates a little bit of conflict, and I get hey, listen, we just dollared all this. Can we have a little bit of a breather? I get it. It's the innovator in me. But that was definitely a big piece. And I'd say the last piece is just really surrounding ourselves with people that are as good, if not better. And actually, the line I use, I always like surrounding myself with people that are way better than me at everything, which allows me to rise my game and raise my game. But I would say those are the big components of what led us to that growth.
And when you say aggregation, forgive the vocabulary check, do you mean like as in acquisition, like you're buying other origination companies?
Yeah, so a combination of that. So either buying brokerages, smaller brokerages, but more importantly in our mortgage industry, it's more of an alignment strategy. So it's a lot of partnerships. There's a lot of individual brokerages in our space that we're typically doing things completely on their own silos, on their own islands, and there's so much benefit to partnership. So it's our industry works a little bit differently in the sense that our parent company can provide a lot of services to brokerages that improve their efficiency, improve their profitability, and it's something that they're willing to pay for because they just can't do it at the same scale that we're able to at a much larger scale. And then that increased buying power adds to that revenue bottom line. So there's you're paying something and getting a lot.
So what geographic regions are you operating in?
Good question. So we're currently across Canada, so essentially coast to coast. Well, not essentially, literally coast to coast, with the exception of the province of Quebec. But otherwise, yeah, we're coast to coast in Canada now.
And so if you are aggregating or acquiring other of those local, let's say, mortgage brokers, how do you identify candidates for acquisition? How do you manage that process? How do you get everybody from all these different places and locations and businesses operating, rowing the ship in the same direction?
Yeah, totally. So when I was in that role, my whole strategy was one, to get to know the brokerage, get to know the owner, get to know how they ran their business, because the reality is not everybody's going to be a fit for each other. I big believe in the win-win, and it's going to be a win for us. It's going to be a win for you. And then, hey, we're going to now join in this collective, this collaborative, and grow together. But really is finding those alignments in terms of vision, in terms of technology, in terms of the business structure, and their overall approach to business. Of course, we do a lot of due diligence in the back end as well with through our bank partners and lender partners to ensure that we are there's certain metrics behind the scenes that are being hit that we're looking for. But it's really doing that due diligence in I'd say really being okay with saying, you know what, this isn't the right fit. You're good where you are, or where we're going isn't really where you want to go, or you're just not a fit, and that's totally okay.
That makes a lot of sense. You talked about wondering what's next. What do you want to be next?
That's a good question. I definitely, I'm fueled by impact. I am completely fueled by impact and am currently exploring different ways that I can have impact within the mortgage business and outside of the mortgage business. Very fascinated by a few different industries that will remain nameless at this point in terms of what's going on within the North American market. Yeah, just really looking for that. I really need to be passionate about what I'm doing. I'm very passionate about the mortgage industry, and have tried before to shift that passion into a different industry, but I wouldn't rule that out. I'm just really exploring a bunch of different things right now that I'm confident will provide me with the constant desire to make that impact.
Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
What do I like best about what I'm doing in the mortgage business? We're really starting to change things. We've really changed things over the last few years. We brought a viable additional competitor to the space. An option that really wasn't even on the on most brokerages list 4 years ago. I think with the technology play, we helped it really evolve and step forward to be closer to or at par, I should say, with where UK, the US, and Australia have been. So that was super cool. But I think the mortgage industry is still so infantile. Like, it has so much opportunity to grow. There's a lot of mistakes that were made, I think, over the last 25, 35 years in its business growth. And I think a lot of that has to do with where the money is made within the business. It's really changed over the last 15 years. And with that, there are some massive, massive opportunities to disrupt the industry to new levels.
Awesome. For our folks who are watching and listening and want to learn more, where is the best place for them to go to learn more about you and all the things that you're up to?
Yeah, totally. So they can check me out at my website. It's dougadlam.com. That's DOUGADLAM.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. And those are for sure the best two ways to get in touch with me. All my contact stuff's on there.
All right. Well, we know your time's incredibly valuable. We greatly appreciate you spending some of it with us. This has been Seth Greene with Doug Adlam. Doug, thanks again.
This was awesome, Seth. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We will talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.